Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Gamerturk and today I will be reviewing Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Although a bit late, I thought it would be the right thing to do to actually complete the game and mess around quite a bit to review the game properly. During this review, I'll be objective and make it clear if something is my personal opinion or if it's a fact, and remember that people can have different opinions and we can discuss those in the comment section in a civil manner. Now, as you probably all know, as of this video's release, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is the latest game in the Assassin's Creed franchise, which picks up the barely existing present-day story from Assassin's Creed Unity, which was quite a train wreck at the time of its release. Settling to a new town, I did not have time to buy Unity at its release, but I have watched and seen what kind of a broken game it was. Thankfully, Ubisoft managed to do a better job with Syndicate, but sadly, we live in an era where we are mostly surprised when a game is not broken on release day. Now, let's start with the story. Do not worry, I will be keeping this as spoiler free and as simple as possible. Similar to Unity, Syndicate only gives us a couple of glimpses of the present day storyline. 5 or 6 cutscenes focusing mainly on Sean and Rebecca trying to locate a piece of Eden called the Shroud, which is rumored to heal the wounded. Meanwhile, Juno is working with the Templars trying to create a vessel for herself, so she also needs the Shroud. Sean and Rebecca need your help locating the Shroud, and that's where Evie and Jacob Fry come in. Brother and sister travel to London and break the grip of the Templars. That is exactly where the story breaks up to two storylines. While Evie aims to find the Shroud before the Templars do and keep it hidden from them, while Jacob aims to take out the Templars, and occasionally create more problems than there are by doing so. The duo is quite fun to follow, and other historical characters that you interact with only makes it better. For the first time since Leonardo da Vinci from Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, a secondary character, Graham Bell, makes me actually care for him. The dual storyline was quite interesting, mainly because you could see what you have done with one character and see what kind of problems it creates from the other perspective. The story comes to a conclusion as Evie and Jacob take out Crawford Starrick at last and secure the Shroud. As soon as the location of the Shroud is confirmed, Sean, Rebecca, and an assassin friend of theirs, I wish we could see more of this assassin so I could actually remember her name, move in. But they see the Templars made their move first and they lose the Shroud. The main storyline ends as Juno speaks to one of the Templars about her revival. That's where the main story ends, but as usual, there are tons of other stuff to do, as it is expected from a Ubisoft game. Couple of side storylines, and one of them striking me particularly, which is a time rift similar to the ones in Unity, taking you to World War I London, where you play as Lydia Fry and defend London against Germans. Along the way, Juno speaks to you and tells the story of the first civilization. To wrap up, the story is pretty basic. It's a straightforward story with little to no character development. There are times things get interesting thanks to the fun characters, especially Jacob and Evie moments, but it has to be said that it falls short when compared with other titles like the Ezio trilogy, Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag. While we're at comparing it to the previous titles, let's get the soundtrack out of the way. I found the soundtrack quite forgettable. At first I thought it was because the soundtrack was no longer made by Jesper Kyd and Lorne Balfe, who were in charge of many other Assassin's Creed titles, but honestly, I can't even remember the main theme of this game. From a franchise with so many epic tracks, Syndicate has been a step down in my opinion. But to each their own, since the soundtrack is something that highly depends on each individual, I suggest you find it somewhere online and form your own opinions. I wouldn't want to tell you what to like or what to dislike. On to the gameplay, the thing that matters the most. I'm gonna start with my one and only disappointment and then go to the positives. For a game that was marketed by having two skill and approach wise different characters, I think their gameplay did not reflect those differences enough. It's only 3 different skills out of a huge skill tree that's different, and those differences are pretty situational as well. Their differences are mostly covered by the story, where Jacob is more blunt and causes trouble by being reckless, while Evie plans everything nicely, but when it comes to playing it, I can be Chuck Norris while playing as Evie and be the most stealthy person as Jacob. The game gives me no reason to play as who those characters really are, and that is disappointing because it could easily be solved by adding an optional objective like do not get detected for EV stages and kill more than 10 guards for Jacob stages. That would encourage players to incorporate those unique extra skills for their respective characters and put those personality traits into gameplay. And that was the one and only disappointment I had about the gameplay. Other than that, it's the good old Assassin's Creed gameplay with improvements to the overall formula, some new additions, some returning features, and a little bit GTA simulator thrown in with carriages around London. The parkour formula has been slightly refined coming from Unity, and as I mentioned in my first impressions video about a month ago, the game actually does a much better job at explaining you the controls. The new addition, Grappling Hook, makes it much easier to navigate from roof to roof and it significantly improves your speed when you need to climb up high. The combat has changed yet again after Unity and it is a good change. With Unity, the combat became so slow that it was way too boring, and while it was too slow, the snipers could easily shoot you down and get a huge chunk of your life bar away. Syndicate has a much faster combat and it feels incredibly fresh. The combat is once again fun, and the best part is there is now a dodge button against gunshots, so if your hand is fast enough, you can get out of combat situations without endangering yourself. Even better, you no longer need to go to combat all alone. You can recruit people from your gang, called the Rooks, 5 people at a time, and bring them with you. Similar to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. You can upgrade their skills from the gang upgrades menu by using resources you collect from the chests of London and make them even more powerful. While I played, I barely paid attention to the gang upgrades at first and realized it was a huge mistake. Most of those upgrades help you immensely throughout the game, so I suggest getting those out of the way. It's also important to know that there are levels attached to each activity, so make sure you are at least at the minimum required level, or you will have a hard time in combat. Each mission, quest, and activity gives you a certain amount of XP, and each 1000 XP gives you skill points that you can use to unlock skills in your skill tree. After unlocking a certain amount of skills, your character levels up. Your skill points are shared among your characters, so if you have collected 10 skill points, then both Evie and Jacob have 10 skill points to use, so you get to spend 10 for Evie and 10 for Jacob and spec them the way you want. Crafting is back and it is simplified. In Black Flag, I never cared about crafting because I need to hunt certain animals for certain materials and I didn't want to go across the map just to hunt that one particular animal. Now crafting resources can simply be found from the chests around London. You can craft weapons, armor, outfits that have their own unique stat bonuses and improve your gameplay. Most of these can be earned from regular gameplay as well, so if you do not feel the need to get the ultimate setup, you can easily play the game without having to craft anything. For me, Syndicate is a great game that needs to put more focus on its story, both present and past. The last 3 games have been nothing more than a build up to something that is yet to come in the present day storyline. Though I have my hopes up in terms of story for the next game and of course the upcoming Assassin's Creed movie. One thing I have to mention before I end this review is rather a controversial topic, the microtransactions. Honestly, I thought they were perfectly okay in Unity. They were only used for optional boosters and the game gave you enough Helix credits so the completionists could buy the chest and glitch maps for free. But this year, the completionist inside me just keeps screaming because the game does not give me enough free credits even for one map pack. I have no intention to buy a map pack with real money, but nor do I want to go run around London hoping to come across each and every single one of hundreds of Helix glitches. So I just wish the microtransactions were limited to XP boosts and cosmetic items. If you are not a completionist, you will not be affected by this at all, but I still don't know why I can't buy a Helix glitch map for 5000 in-game currency like every other map for the chests. Well, either way, it's a great and it's a fun game. It's a huge step forward after the disastrous Unity launch. It has a fun and fast-paced gameplay and has something to deliver to every kind of Assassin's Creed fan out there, whether it is just combat or puzzles hidden around London. It could have used a little bit more emphasis on the present day storyline, but I feel like something is finally coming after 3 years of waiting. I wish the characteristics were more incorporated into gameplay, but overall, Ubisoft did a good job with Syndicate. This is Gamerturk, and I hope you found this review helpful. If you did, make sure to leave a like or comment and share with your friends, and of course, subscribe for more. Take care, Assassins.